Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Monkey Man. So now this is actually Dev Patel's directional debut, and this was an awesome action movie. But here's the thing, a lot of people are comparing it to John Wick, so I sort of want to address that. Can this movie be compared to the John Wick franchise? Yes. Generally speaking, yes. However, the same thing can be said about John Wick. John Wick can be compared to movies that came before. There's just something about the classic badass revenge story. So many that came before. Revenge stories have been in movies for years, and some successful, some not. The Crow is a great example. Just foreshadowing, because I'll be reviewing that soon. See Deadpool, I can gently tap the fourth wall too. The nerdy movie guy. So anyway, in Monkey Man, Dev Patel's character just is absolutely brutal in this movie. So unfortunately, this movie will get a lot of John Wick comparisons as we break down bits and pieces of it. So the first thing I want to mention with this movie is its sort of backstory to our main character. In this movie, the Monkey Man, he sort of has this dark, rough childhood, and we get to see exactly what happens to him, why he's violent, why he's targeting the people he's targeting. We get a lot of backstory for him in this movie, and we get a lot of reasoning. The movie doesn't pick up with him being this action guy. It picks up with, learning pieces of his story before he dives into the revenge plot part of the movie. So comparing it to John Wick, everything that he does in the movie is sort of a reaction to what happens with something the audience gets to see. So what John Wick does is a reaction. What the Monkey Man does is a long thought out plan. So that's one difference in the story is it's not a reactionary revenge plot. This is a long thought out revenge plot for this character. And I really like how it's done in this movie. I thought there are so many different elements that this movie had that the John Wick movie really didn't. But there are some elements that John Wick had, but it didn't hit the mark like this one did. Which brings us to our next comparison, our next point, is the emotional aspect of this movie gets you in sort of the feels in certain moments. There are moments in this movie where you just really feel for the guy, and you can see the emotion on not just the character's face, but the actor's face as well, which just proves how great Dev Patel really is. And so that's another sort of style brought on into this movie that the John Wick movie really didn't have. Now, yes, losing his wife and his dog is sad, but I think it's all about the way it's shot, and I think this movie just ultimately did it a little better. And so with this movie, that's sort of the opening premise, is we get to learn a lot about who he is and what happened to him as a kid, and that all dives into the present. He's not just picking up a gun, going against the city, like in John Wick. In this movie, he's sort of peeling apart an organization little by little to get to his targets. So there's more anticipation with this story, I feel, because of the build-up being slowly built little by little throughout the movie. It's not some endless spiraling gunfight. There's really a multi-layered story to it as well, with heartwarming moments and emotional moments as well. So you blend all of that together, the revenge plot trope becomes less of a revenge movie and more of an action movie, as I feel the traditional action movie should be. It should have more elements than fighting alone, which this one did. So that's one of the things I really loved about this movie, is how many different elements they were able to put into what should have been a generic plot and story. So as we get into the second half, he's begun his revenge and is not constant action throughout. This brings us to our third comparison with Monkey Man and John Wick. John Wick ultimately, I think, has more action, but this one has more depth and layers to its story, which gives a little bit more reasoning and a little bit more anticipation with the character's motives. So I think those things really work in this sense, because when Monkey Man is going after his targets, it's just sort of the edge of your seat, kind of brutal, gritty action that you're watching and waiting for. And so it just feels worth it. What happens to the characters, it feels deserving. It's just something to root for, something to just kind of just sit back and just watch everything happen, be on the edge of your seat for the action moments, take a step back to relax for sort of the emotional moments, all while having some heartwarming moments in there too. So I was really astonished with how many different elements this movie put into it. I thought I was going into a John Wick copy, but that's not what this was. And so that was a nice surprise. I'm really glad that Dev Patel sort of had his own take on what he wanted this revenge story to be. So I really liked it a lot. I have it on Blu-ray. There is a 4K copy of this movie. My local Walmart did not have one in stock when I decided to purchase the Blu-ray copy for this film. But as I said, there are multiple options. This movie is rated R, so that gives you a little detail as to, or I should say sneak peek into the kind of gritty action this movie has, and it's done really well. It looks great. There's not really, I don't know if there were any CGI shots in this. If there are, it was hidden really well. I thought it looked amazing. It looked bloody. It was just sort of everything you want in an action movie. It's everything we got in John Wick, but this gives us maybe just a little bit more. So, to sum it all up, I don't know which one I like better. I'm biased to John Wick. I think the franchise has proven itself movie after movie after movie. And for Monkey Man to be just a single film, I don't think it's fair to compare it to the franchise yet. Now, we'll see what happens with Monkey Man, if it becomes a franchise or not. I think this movie could be a standalone. However, if they do make a franchise out of it, I'll be there at the theater to see what happens next. So if you check this one out, let me know in the comments what you think. I think a lot of people just didn't see this movie, and I think that it really should have got a lot more recognition than it did. I can't wait to see what Dev Patel does next, whether it's Monkey Man 2 or whatever his next work is. I will be there. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep it digging.